This is Beginner Biblical Hebrew, Lesson 9, and I am the substitute teacher for today. So we are going to start out with our review. So far, we know the first 17 letters of the Aleph Beit. Can you say the names of the letters and write them? So you can go ahead and you could practice. You could print out the primer. You could practice writing the Aleph, the Beit, and the Vet, the Gimel, the Dalet, the Hey, the Vav, the Zayin, the Het, the Tet, the Yod, the Kaf, the Chaf, and the Chaf Sofit, the Lamed, the Mem and the Mem Sofit, the Nun and the Nun Sofit, the Samech, the Ain, the Pei, and the Fe Sofit. Additionally, we have a review where you can go through and you can practice pronouncing the letter and the vowel combinations. And so I'll go through a couple on each line. This would be Ga. This would be Zeh. This would be Hey. This would be Say. This is Me. This is Say. And so this here, this with the Yod, the Zere with the Yod makes the same sound as the Zere without the Yod. This is Zo, Ni, Me, Poo, Oo, and again, the Ain here is silent and it carries the sound of the vowel. So it's Oo, Nu, Be, Pe, Se, Te. So you can go through and practice saying and pronouncing all of the letters with the vowels. So today we are going to look at the 17th letter of, let's see. Okay, this is actually the 18th letter. Okay. So today we will look at the 18th letter of the Hebrew Aleph Beit, which is Tsadei. Tsadei makes the ts sound like spots, and it is commonly transliterated TZ. Sometimes you'll see people have it with the English TS, but most of the time you will see it with TZ. So for example, in my name, Tirtza, that's for the tza sound is a Tsadei. And you write the Tsadei like this. You start at the top, you make a diagonal line coming down, and then you make the stem part coming down. So you can practice writing your Tsadeis. Now, Tsadei is one of the 5 Hebrew letters that look different when it's at the end of a word. And again, we call these ending or these final letters the Sofit letters. So when Tsadei appears at the end of a word, instead of this stem coming in at the bottom, it extends down past the line. So it looks like this. It comes down past the line. So when we are writing it, we just we come down and we go straight down, and then we make this stem part last. So again, we would come down to make that stem and then make that final stem part. So we have another set of look-alike letters, and this would be our new letter, the Tsadei, and a letter we just recently learned, the Ain. And so you could kind of see that the top parts look similar, and then also it comes down at the bottom. It folds in, that stem folds in. And so the difference really is this part of the letter. And also when we write it, we don't write it the same. So we come down. With this one, we kind of make this line here straighter, and then we come down. So the handwritten forms look less similar than the print forms. So we actually now have learned the five letters that have a final form. We've learned the final kaf. We've learned the final mem. We've learned the final tzadeh. We've learned the final fe, and we've learned the final noon. And so now you can go through and you can actually match the final letters with their names. And then you can go through and you can match the final forms with the forms that would appear in the middle of a word. So you can match the final forms with the forms that would appear in the middle of a word. And we have the answers in our answer key. Another practice that you can do here is go through these lines and you can identify in each of these lines there is a word in the middle in the line that doesn't have a final letter at the end. So what you can do here is you can go through and you could circle the final letters in each line. So or in the ones that have a sofit. So for example, this says Baruch. We don't know this race yet, but this says Baruch. But you do know that this is a final chaf, so you would circle it. And so this says Melech, and so we can see the final kaf, so you would circle it. Now this says Barucha, and we can see here that this hey doesn't have a final form, so you won't circle the hey. So you would circle the final chaf in Baruch, the final chaf in Melech, but you would not circle the final hey in Barucha because the hey doesn't have a final form. So you want to go through each of these lines and you want to circle the final letters, the sofit letters in each of the lines. And if the word doesn't have a sofit letter, then you can leave it alone. And again, we have the answers in the back of our primer. So today we are going to learn a vowel blend. And so this is going to be our first vowel blend that we learned. The rest of the vowels that we've learned, they aren't really, we wouldn't necessarily call them blends. But when we have a patak that's followed by a yod, the yod changes the sound of the patak. Remember, the patak makes the ah sound. So when we have the patak followed by a yod, it changes that ah sound to an I sound, like aisle, or I as in EYE. So we practice reading our the words at the bottom here. This says my. This says banai. This says die. This says chai. This says bow tie. This says guy. This says sigh. And finally, we have lie, la. And we could see that the sheva here ends the syllable. So it's lie, la. So again, this is going to be an important vowel blend for us, especially when we read the Tanakh, because this vowel blend occurs very regularly in the Tanakh. So we have some reading practice. And so I'll go through the reading practice. This says chen, which means grace. This says panim, which means face. This says lima'an. This says olam. This says mitzvah. Line number 2, this says chai. This word here is salach. This says me'odecha. Me'odecha. This says kohanim. This says zil pa. Zil pa. And again, this sheva here ends the syllable. Zil pa. This says chasadim. Chasadim. Ahava. Ve'echad. Zolma. And Mayim. And again, this is the Patak and Yod combination that we just learned. Line 4 says lates, oats, boats, coats, zoats, and ets. So you can go ahead and you can practice reading this. And again, all of the pronunciations are located in the back of the primer. So we have 2 new vocabulary words. Our first vocabulary word is mitzvah. Mitzvah. And mitzvah means commandment. Mitzvah. Our other new vocabulary word is lila. Lila. And again, this is our new vowel blend that we've learned, the patak followed by the yod. Lila means night. So we have an exercise here which says, can you read and translate? Can you read these words and can you translate them? So this says Yom Tov. Yom Tov, which means good day. And this says Lila Tov. Lila Tov, which means good night. This says Mitzvah Tov. Mitzvah Tov, which means good commandment. And this says Abba ve'ima, which means father and mother. And remember, when we put the vav with the sheva, this prefix here is and. So I will, I'll allow everyone to do these bottom ones by yourself. And again, the answers are in the back. So finally, we have the biblical application. And again, as Murray Adoniyahu always says that, there are some letters in here that you may not know. And actually, I believe there's only about 3 more letters that you don't know. So pretty much you know most of these letters, you know most of these vowels. And there's a lot of words here that you're able to actually pronounce everything based off of the knowledge that you've gained so far. So we have Exodus 12, verse 8, which says, Ve'achlu et habashar bala or balayla hazeh zili esh umatzot all Mirorim Yochlu'u, which means, and they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. That's Exodus 12, verse 8. In this passage here, you can go ahead and you can identify our 2 lookalike letters. We can identify our new Tsadei and also the Ein. So go through and I'd be able to identify those and see how many those are. And also you can see our new vowel blend and also some of the older vowels that we have here. There are 2 vocabulary words in this verse. And so you can go ahead and you could see if you can identify the 2 vocabulary words that are in this verse. And again, the answers are in the back. So that is our beginner Hebrew class for today.